And what we're seeing in the holiday market, what we're seeing from consumers, some of the major shifts that we're seeing in the market, and how that's impacting the way marketers are really approaching their holiday campaigns, and some of the implications we think this will have going into 2021. So we're going to really start with unwrapping some of the survey results of a nationwide survey we did with the Harris Poll that really dives deep into consumer trends. As I said, we'll look at streaming trends and then the holiday shopping trends. And I've had the opportunity to present this report and this methodology at Brand Innovators for the last, I think, 3 years. I think this is the third year that we've been able to share the Harris Poll data with you. And what we did is, we looked at 3 key things we wanted to help understand for marketers today. The first is understand the current state of streaming trends and behaviors. The second is understand the platforms that are driving that consumer engagement. And the third is really understand what's happening for the holiday shopping season. What you can see on the right is this was not a small survey. We went ahead and did a large oversampling of the United States so we could get all demographics, income groups, geographies, families, multiple children, no children in the household. They really paint a really robust mosaic of what's happening today in holiday shopping. So first, we're going to start with streaming trends. And I think what we've really seen is that the headline from 2020 is on the streaming face is that really we are seeing an acceleration of trends that were already underway. And a rapid acceleration. Today, 85% of US households now stream. This cuts across every age group and demographic. We've long known that Gen Z and millennials were majority streamers, but now every single age group that is measured up to those boomers and above, those over 74, are now majority households that stream in the United States. And they're streaming a lot. One of the big things that we saw this year is the significant decrease in live TV viewing and the inverse significant increase we're seeing with those watching streaming. And what that means is that for the first time ever in the Harris Poll survey, the average American now reports they spend more time streaming than they do watching live linear television. Millennials, for example, now spend twice as much time streaming as they do watching live linear television. So the big headline from the streaming front, streaming is now mainstream. It's the way most Americans now consume video content, and it's the way most Americans now consume most of their video content. Diving a little bit deeper, what's driving this acceleration? Clearly, cord cutting is one of the major efforts here. We see an acceleration here, and what we saw in 2020 led the author of the survey at the Harris Poll to state that we're now approaching a time in 2021 where it's likely that a majority of American households will no longer have a traditional pay cable package. We call these cord cutters. I prefer to call them cord burners. And I like that term because these aren't folks who've just passively cut the cord. They're not coming back. We see that 86%, nearly 9 out of 10 who've been surveyed, said they're not coming back. They've cut the cord. They're happy with that engagement in that environment. And really, there are 2 key trends driving this. The first one's obvious. The second one is far more important to those of us who watch media and are looking for kind of long-term trend lines. Obviously, kitchen table discussions around budget were continued to be a key driver of cord cutting. But number 2 is the important one to watch. 40% of those who cut the cord said they did it simply because they prefer the streaming experience. This is incredibly powerful. This is that secular shift that we talk about in behaviors where people aren't going to be reverting back once we get into a point in time when COVID's no longer having us at home. They've discovered streaming and they prefer that to be the way in which they engage with video content today. So those are kind of the top line results from the streaming that give you a sense of kind of what streaming's happening today and how people are engaging with streaming. Now we'll dive straight into the holiday shopping trends that we're seeing from shoppers this year. I spent a good chunk of my time in the agency and retail world, and I always would love the month or 2 before the holidays where all of our clients would say, is Christmas going to happen? Is the holiday shopping season going to happen this year? And we can say, fear not, from this survey and from what we're seeing at the registers, the holiday shopping season is going to happen. It's going to be a robust season this year. We are seeing that about a pretty even split. About a quarter of consumers are going to spend more this holiday season, and about a quarter are going to spend less. Overall, we expect to see holiday shopping increase. And the reason for that is because those who plan to spend more are planning to spend a lot more. And those who are planning to spend less are planning to spend a little bit less. Some fun call outs on the side. The biggest winners this year are pets. Pets are going to see the single largest percentage increase and funds spent for them. I think that's because a lot of us are home and spending a lot more time with our pets, and that we feel they are worthy and deserving of gifts. We also see something that we're calling that self-giving really take off and accelerate. Significant increase in what we're looking and planning to spend on ourselves this holiday season. Some interesting anecdotes as we think about from a marketer perspective on how to reach audiences and who to be targeting. While 7 in 10 holiday shoppers this year plan to spend about the same or more, we really are going to see streamers really over-index. Those who stream are going to spend a lot more this holiday season, almost $250 more per person than those who are non-streamers in the United States. Not a big surprise this year, but this is a trend that's been happening every year, and it's been moving farther and farther back in the calendar. But shopping is happening earlier for many. A third began their shopping in September, including about a little more than a third of parents. Gen X, about 40% began shopping by December. One of the things that's really interesting about this survey, it's the first year where we've had a large enough population of Gen Z, those were 18 to 22, who are adults surveyed. And what we're seeing is they're really outliers in so many efforts. So as with this question, they're going to start their shopping later. And we'll see other questions down the line where they're going to be spending differently. What this has led to, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is we saw, for example, in November that the elongated holiday season led to an environment where many retailers had, all month was Cyber Month, all month was Black Friday. Deals started populating in November because they realized that consumers are really taking control of kind of when, where, and how they shop and aren't now forcing into kind of a confined 3 or 4 day window. Two really interesting facts that are COVID related and probably just momentarily to this year that we saw, and that is that about a third of consumers are going to buy more gifts for more people this holiday season, simply because they're not going to be able to travel to visit with them. And the second one is a whole new holiday gift giving category that's emerged, and we're seeing a lot of retailers lean into this, and that is gifts that are specifically designed or marketed to make life from working from home or being at home more easy, more enjoyable for either yourself or a gift that you're going to give to a friend and family member. So that's kind of a unique 2020 unique gift giving category. We are seeing TVs become a really big purchase this year. Not a big surprise since the TVs become the window into the outside world for so many people today, but we're going to see a lot of folks pick up and take home a brand new television this holiday season. Again, this has not changed much in the last couple of years we've done this survey. Gift cards are always number one, but we like to see, the kind of good spread there. We are going to see some significant technology purchases, which I'll share in a minute. And we are seeing about 1 in 4 consumers planning to buy a big ticket purchase. Again, here's where Gen Z stands out over a much larger number, almost 2x the general population looking to make a big ticket purchase this holiday season. A lot of those big ticket purchases from the Gen Z population are going to be video game consoles. So the number one technology item, of course, video games. If anyone's tried to get an Xbox or PlayStation, can kind of understand probably why they're not available anywhere. But again, seeing some significant increases driven by the kind of every 2 or 3 year cycle that we have of a major new video game console. A couple additional fun statistics that we saw jump out. We've seen online really begin to take a larger share of wallet over the years, but this is a year where it really surged. Where we're going to see, overwhelming majority of consumers say they plan to do not just some holiday shopping, but a majority of their shopping online, including about 80%, 8 out of 10 streamers say they'll do most of their shopping online this holiday season. So again, seeing really online shifting in a big way. Key takeaway for marketers, and boy, this hasn't changed much in the last 2 years, but when we first presented this data a couple of years ago, this was a real eye-opener for many retailers, and they really began to adopt it. And that is, I call this the Amazon effect, and that's the top 2 things that are the determining factors of whether or not someone completes a purchase are cheap or free shipping and fast. So now they want it cheap or free, and they want it quickly. And so, the message for retailers and marketers is if you have a product or a direct-to-consumer brand, you need to share up front before you ever make them get to that cart your shipping deals and arrangements, because that will really determine whether or not they keep surfing and keep looking, or if they move on to another site or platform that meets their expectations. Going local will be important this holiday season. There are 2 real key factors driving this. The first is, COVID lockdowns, people feeling not comfortable going into a large retail store in some cases. But also we're seeing millennials and Gen Z really drive this as a cultural value, that shopping local, supporting the local retail outlet has become something that's important to them culturally for their holiday dollars. It's probably my favorite couple slides I'm going to show you next, and I think the favorite takeaways from this year's survey. And that is how the sales funnel has really evolved in 2020, and evolved in a way that we don't anticipate will revert back anytime soon. First big change we saw is obviously this one is a COVID-related change that may revert at some point when we go back to work, but that is the time of day that people do most of their shopping has changed. Traditionally, we would see heavy shopping in the evening hours after 5 p.m. And now what we're seeing is the quote unquote traditional workday, people are at home in front of their computer. It's freeing up that time to do shopping throughout the entirety of the day. And so we're now seeing that a majority of streamers will do some of their shopping, will do most of their shopping during the workday. Interestingly enough, we also see from Nielsen and other folks that a huge surge in streaming hours are also happening in that exact same window that's traditionally been the workday. So you see the conflicts of those two coming together, where a lot of folks are watching streaming content and doing shopping at the same time. And that leads to what is my favorite data point of this year's holiday survey. A year ago, when we did the survey, we were doing brainstorming with the research firm about questions that we kind of wanted to maybe a little bit outside the norm or counterintuitive. And we asked the question last year, have you seen a streaming ad that was so engaging in the past month that it caused you to pause the ad, or pause the content that you were watching and go shop for that product? And about 1 in 4 US adults said that last year. This year, that number grew to 43% of US adults, and 2/3 of millennials report that they've paused an ad that they saw during streaming to go research and shop for the product. And what this is highlighting for us is the complete collapse of the traditional sales funnel, where we used to think of television at the top for awareness campaigns and performance campaigns at the bottom that really drove that actual purchase. We're really focused on digital and social platforms. And now what we're seeing with streaming is that you can have all of those really in one platform, where you can have the awareness, you can do the pull through, and all the way through to the sales channel and record that. And I'm going to share one kind of fun example that Walmart has done this holiday season, which I think is very just insightful. They're very innovative in how they think about engaging with consumers, but they really are embracing this own the pause concept, but also this concept of consumers on streaming really engaging throughout the entirety of that sales funnel. So Walmart did some great ads this holiday season on streaming, and one of the ones, lets you right there click and go deeper with if you're watching on Roku, you press that middle button, that purple button right in the middle of the ad, and find more information about that great 65-inch television. Again, really the collapse of that whole funnel, thinking about the entire life cycle, both awareness and performance for the advertiser. Another one of my favorites is this own the pause concept, where you really can, when you hit that pause, another ad can be delivered to you. In this case, you get an ad with a QR code that can give you a chance to win a Roku television. So thinking differently about that budget and about that whole funnel is really going to be a key learning, I think, that we're seeing from 2020, especially from the holiday season, that we think will continue to play out in 2021. A few last slides, and we'll wrap up and take a couple questions if there's time. One of the things that we like to look at is just kind of how are different subgroups playing out here, and we see that millennials are going to spend a little less than the average. They're a little more conscious this year. Parents are spending more, so kids will get more under the tree this year than they spent last year, which is great. One of my favorite statistics as we continue to see how men and women play out differently. Men continue to be very robust in their spending. They plan to spend a lot more this holiday season, both on themselves and on others. Men plan to spend about 3 times as much on themselves as women do this holiday season. So you begin to see kind of some of the differences that play out amongst our generational groups. The last slide I would leave you with are really our kind of takeaways from this holiday season. And they've really played out in what we're seeing at the register from retailers as well as they report. The first is that consumer shifting differently. They're shopping online. Those trends are not going to revert. We're seeing significant increases in, contactless pickup and those types of things that are really shifting behaviors that will have long legs into 2021. They're streaming. Shoppers are overwhelmingly streamers. 85% of consumers now stream. The majority of them, an awful lot of them, stream advertising supported content. So it's not just Netflix or Disney Plus. It's kind of the whole suite of content. Consumers are planning to shop, so fear not. They're going to be turning out in big numbers, as we're already seeing. Numbers are up, and that plays well, I think, for retailers. One thing we're really proud of at Roku is, we think we represent a great cross section of the United States as the largest streaming platform in the United States. And we see that our streamers will significantly over-index on shopping this holiday season. And lastly, for marketers, advertising works on streaming. It's working exceptionally well, and it's really leading us to think differently about that entire funnel and how we move budgets from perhaps digital and social into streaming, just as linear budgets are moving into streaming as well. And with that, I'll open for questions if there's time.
Thank you so much, Dallas. Sorry, Isabel, I'm back. That was such a great presentation. I really loved hearing that people are still planning to buy and shop for the holidays, because I'm sure that's a good sign for a lot of reasons. And I'm sure a lot of people, are still trying to get excited in their own way about the holidays. I know we're all kind of going to be celebrating it differently than in the past. I don't think we have time for too many follow-ups. Is there anything you kind of want to add to close out the keynote? Or, oh, you're on mute, Dallas. I'm sorry. Maybe that might have been our end.
I know. I would just say, if folks are interested, the full report and all the data is on our website at Roku. You can search for it. We'll be happy to provide it. And if you're interested in additional briefings, what's fun about the data is we can cut it anyway. So if there's a particular insight you're looking for, we'd be more than happy to share with our brand innovator friends.
Awesome. All right. That's great to know. Really appreciate you sharing and joining us today.
Happy holidays.
All right. Happy holidays. Thanks, Dallas. Great. So really excited.